And like you said, I think it can get skipped a lot because we are in a sports environment culture right now where, kids are being pushed when they're even in elementary school to go to all these tournaments and have a high level of performance. And we don't live in a day and age where you can just fly out for a school sport, never have to play. And so there is this level of competition. And I think that parents and coaches are trying to push their kids maybe too soon to be at this like elite level, And so it's like, oh, it has to be really serious, and we have to really push to win. And so sometimes you have parents coming in the facility and they're like, yeah, I want my kid to get this much faster. I want them to do speed training, and it's like kids in fifth grade. And I'm like, yeah, but they don't even have basic coordination. You need to figure this out and really lay that foundation. And so I think they're rushing the outputs maybe a little bit too soon. And what can happen is then you have kids come in, maybe they only played one sport and they're like sophomores in high school and they're like less developed from an athletic perspective than our elementary kids. And
Yeah.
then now we have to go back to this foundation.
Yes. Because yeah, it's absolutely wild. I think there's like a double-edged sword too, where like kids are doing, sport is so structured now and so competitive early that we're missing out on a lot of unstructured play. Like if you came to one of our we call it Young Bucks class, and Sadie is our kind of director of that program. Like a lot of the class looks like play. Like it is a lot of playing, letting the athletes explore movement and getting down just base movement, which like every elite athlete that talks about, how are you so good at your sport? They're like, I'm really good at the basics. And for some reason that is lost in translation with sport right now and with parents of like, dude, your kid needs to just be good at like jumping from one leg to the other, standing on one leg, like climbing over a tire, jumping off a tire, like all of that stuff is like foundational for outputs like you talked about. And like a good story to go along with that is, I just had an assessment come in. Obviously, I'm not going to name names of clients, but I basically get, this long text, hey, we're interested in coming in. And he describes this baseball player like I'm like, oh man, like they're like, we need to add a little bit here, we need to do this, we need to do that. Dude, I thought he was bringing in like a junior or senior in high school that's like getting recruited, like is pretty developed, like ready to roll, and it ends up being an 8-year old like that comes in for the assessment, and like they're set on him being baseball. He's a pitcher, and this is where we need to add muscle. This is what we need to change. This is what his velo needs to be at. Like all of this stuff. And he walks in, and I'm just like, dude, my heart just like drops. I'm like, it's just so much pressure on this kid to be like fit into this mold. He's tiny, like like it's like the genetics are going to play a factor in like his opportunity to throw fastballs, right? Like if you're you don't see a lot of professional pitchers that are 5'5", 5'6". You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's like the world we live in, So, we always try to curb that as much as we can and just be like, hey, we just need to like first let him fall in love with the process of like coming in here, getting better, not setting these parameters of what he like needs to be at. Just work on movement and development because he comes in and he can barely lunge. His squat is poor, his sprinting's poor, and it's like these are all things that we need to develop. So I'm curious, like, are you seeing some of that same stuff where like parents are really putting these massive expectations on these youth athletes before, they even have like any base? It's like trying to tell a kid he needs to drive a car, but he can't even reach the gas pedal yet. Right.